obviously we're talking about this before the update. We got like a very weak update over on PTB. And PTB carries our update and then should be out on February at the end for main branch. This is all obvious. We all know this. It was a little alarming that we got a very, it looked like a hot fix, right? That hit PTB and no other word. And then get this. Then we get, was it yesterday? Or was it today? It might have been today. So today, we get this from Rust. It says the community has identified an issue with recoil on PTB. This isn't due to the recent changes, but a bug that came up with the latest update. We're investigating it, and we will fix it in an update next week. So, okay, is this the real update? Like, what are we talking about, right? And I know it's just like we're hitting this over and over again, but we're kind of posing it to Double 11 and the people in charge. Like, guys, what's going on? Like, you communicate about this, but nothing else. Is there something going on inside of the company that we should know about? You know what I mean? And maybe you guys can't talk about it, but like, dude, what's going on? This can't be the update for February. It just can't be. Right? So, like, you're going to put this in next week. Okay, so here's what I was thinking. This is clearly a hotfix for something, and even hotfixes typically go out on PTB. Now, they'll most likely have a content update that's going to come out, and then it's going to mix with this one, which is uncommon but not unheard of. So my guess is they're going to do that, and maybe that comes out next week. But this week has to be anything that they're going to be putting out for February, at the end of February, right? Because they literally have to release something. It's definitely past halfway through February. So our content update has to be this week on testing branch. It just has to be. And then maybe they're talking about that hot fix sliding in, you know, next week on top of the fix that's already there, and then maybe they kind of separate it. We've seen it before in the past. Or I guess the third option, right, or second option, or whatever option we're on, could be this is the update, and oh my goodness, there's metaphorical fires going on over there, and we don't know what's happening, right? Which is another reason why maybe they should communicate with us, right? Because we can only assume the worst because the communication is the worst. I mean, there's none. You know what I mean? I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Anything. Like, they'll talk about this, but they're not going to talk about the update. We are due another roadmap, right? We're still waiting on that. So here's the thing. Here's my thoughts. I think we're going to see something Tuesday or Thursday. But since this is so late in the game, this literally can come out at any day. So if they're not ready Tuesday, they might even drop this on PTB on Wednesday. And it looks like this will be a mix between hotfixes and the content update, which is kind of a recipe for disaster, especially if this update is anything transportation, whether it's trains, vehicles, modular vehicles, or minis, right? We're leaning towards modular vehicles because of the way they do wipes and stuff, right? Because they typically only do wipes when there's new items added, and this is indeed has a bunch of new items that comes with it. You've heard me say it, but here, I'll show you in the lip here. Oh, here's the engine. Right here, these little guys. And since those will be added in, that's how we wipe typically for monthly branch over on Rust Console Edition. But it's not unheard of that maybe they wait until the next time because maybe they're not ready yet. Maybe it's going to be minis, or maybe if this is a huge disaster and they haven't made it in time yet for this month's update, maybe that's going to be pushed to March. If that's the case, we should see it early in PTB in March. Because, yeah, I have a feeling we might get a monument. If things are really Hector Ramirez over there, like super crazy, it could be that they push it to March. But, I mean, at this point, where I feel like we've been metaphorically kicked in the beanbag so many times, we're just like, okay, I guess. You know what I mean? I guess. But that's my kind of gut instinct. I would expect something this week, and if not, then I would expect the worst at that point. Or, you know, either something's going on there and they need to talk to us. Oh, dude, bikes, guys, come on. They're not very fast, but they're pretty sweet. Yeah, here, we'll talk about the rest of this while we're on our Huffy. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so, yeah, it's got to be, if they end up pushing it next week, like they said, because that hotfix looks like it's definitely going to have an update that gets pushed, then maybe we see our content update with that, and then if that's when our content comes in, I would expect a monument or something low-key, and maybe that's when they drop the information about the roadmap and what's coming. But again, if that's the case, it's all very last minute and like, oh, let's put out the fire. You're like, dude, the fire's been brewing. You know what I mean? You could have head this off in the past a long time ago. Which goes back to what I'm just saying so many times. They could really avoid this if they just talk to the community in any way, shape, or form. And again, I don't think the community managers are at fault here. I think they're literally bound, and they're being told not to say anything, and everything that goes out is very controlled. It feels that way. You know? It just feels that way. So yeah, this the little miniature update thing and the glitch, not a good sign as far as like what we're gonna see. So we're waiting with bated breath to see what's gonna come out tomorrow, all the way up till Thursday. I guess they could release it on a Friday. They have done that once or twice in the past, but those are typically pretty chaotic, and I think they've tried to avoid that ever since, which makes sense. Because let's be honest, if you post something on Friday and it's broken, you know what I mean? Everyone's gonna be there on the weekend trying to fix it. I mean, I guess trains could be a thing too, right? Either way, it looks like there's a big technical update that has got them a little nervous. And I do believe it's a mode of transportation. It can't be anything small. And if we do see something in February, this is going to be kind of creepy going on here. Stranger Things, anybody? Jeez. If it is going to be anything like a monument, that means they had to kind of buy themselves more time. And whether they tell us in the dev blog or... Oh my goodness, I'm going very fast. I don't know how well you guys can see this. Oh my goodness. Oh, oh. I didn't know you could go end over end. Oh my goodness. Did we destroy the bike? Is it mangled? It's gone. Okay, great. So yeah, either way, I think it's going to be something pretty massive, because they wouldn't be hung up on this or saying, hey, we're still trying to hammer it out to see what's possible. So if we do end up getting a monument, that's just to buy them time until March or whatever. And then hopefully that dev blog tells us something, or the, well, let's be honest, the community managers will be released to say something, a controlled thing. And we'll probably find out then. But we have some good indicators now to kind of follow up what's happening. So as this week goes on, kind of expect that worst case scenario that I came out with to kind of be more of what happens, you know, a monument, and then we'll see something in March. And then maybe we can kind of figure out what it is based off of how they, you know, don't talk to us, right? As they don't talk to us at all. So yeah, what do you guys think? It would, you know, it'd be sweet though, and a good, to kind of give a positive spin on this, if they gave us something else, right? Because let's say transportation comes out March, which is kind of looking more and more like that, or whatever that big update is. And let's say they have to give us something in February, or maybe they give us Ziplines. I would, you know, that would be not what I wanted, but not bad. And hopefully we get some communication with it. That'd be kind of sweet. And then obviously parachutes are a hot air balloon, but since this seems to be kind of ad hoc, or maybe shift around the timeline a bit, I think that's why we're seeing all these delays and stuff. Here's another thought too, which is kind of nuts. When this happens, for them specifically, when they kind of go, hey, we got something big, and they kind of go really quiet, and then they're shuffling a little bit, and you can kind of tell something's going on behind the scenes, that means whatever update they had planned is blowing out the sides, and they need to figure out if they can make it in time and what's possible. So they're probably reordering the roadmap as we speak, or the last week or so, to kind of be like, hey, what can we do? Can we slide this one up and get it out in time? Because I think whatever they had slated definitely is not going to happen in February, clearly, because we're halfway through it and we're not even on testing bench, and we're seeing these weird hot fixes and they're saying nothing. When they get airtight like that, something drastic is changing in the background. I mean, we saw it with electricity, right? You know, electricity, you know, pan ahead a bit, 2 years later. You know, it works fine now, but they definitely started off hot, which I was like, great, super aggressive, great goals, keep it going. And then they're like, hey, and then they didn't say anything about electricity, and I was like, wow. Same thing with the custom servers, remember? Originally they were going to do everything, hosting, everything, and now they're working with partners. And they didn't talk about that for a very long time. So, patterns are an interesting thing. They keep reoccurring, and a lot of times you can keep applying them in most cases. So that's what that's what's cooking right now. I know it's not the news we wanted to hear on a Monday, but either way, I think we're going to get something relatively big, and watch they start talking after this update comes out, and it'll kind of prove what we were talking about, that they had to shift things around a little bit for the roadmap. But fingers crossed. Either way, we'll be in the mix playing as we always do, and we'll be doing some builds. Communication with Double Living is worse than my job, says DMV Trucker. Dude, that's funny. I kind of feel bad for the community managers, honestly, because I think they really want to talk, but they literally can't. And that's a bad position to be in, where you can't talk to your own either customers or employees or both, and you're like, man, this is the worst. I would expect the update to literally happen this week on testing branch, and if they don't, they've shifted the plan to something else. That aggressive update they were planning to do, whether it's, you know, transportation or whatever, I think it's gonna be a monument, something else to kind of stopgap it one more time, and then I think they'll be planning on to push it March. And if it doesn't happen in March, then that means something really broke. We can piece it together. You know, we've been playing this game long enough, we kind of know. And we've been 4 years with Double 11, so we have a good idea of how the management works. You know what I'm saying? Or it doesn't. Ooh, you see those LEDs pop in? We might see the harbor changes. Because if you think about it, a lot of that stuff's already in. They'd have to change the surface for all this stuff. I'm just trying to guess, like, if they have a stopgap monument that they're not, like, fully ready for it, maybe they had some partials. I think maybe the changes here might do it, but there's a lot of logic behind the way the cargo ship moves now and the way they move in and out of harbors that maybe they're kind of steering away from it. I don't know. It does seem like they really have an affinity for the water stuff to get done first, which, I mean, I guess is okay. But we'll kind of have to wait to see if they don't have that big update to kind of see what that stopgap is here for February, because TikTok, baby, things are coming in, and I would be a little reluctant to be dropping such a big update this late, especially if you know there's going to be bugs. Or let's say they don't drop it February this week. Let's say it's like next week. How many more days do we have here? Let me look at this. I bet it's crazy. We would have like a week and change, right? Yeah, dude. If they drop it next week, there's less than a week, dude. It goes to the, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's crazy. I just saw that now. Oh, that's insane. They have to drop something this week, dude. I for whatever reason in my head, I kind of pictured like more rows in the calendar. No, there's not. There's really not. I should have just done basic math. Dude. Yeah, something's up. Even if they drop it on the 18th, right? We're looking at not even a full week for them to fix it, and then they have to code it and then drop it again. So they need a for sure thing. So something definitely happened. This is too late in the game to be dropping something so sophisticated. But maybe they're doing it like this because they're like, well, maybe we can smooth it over by dropping a dev blog right at the end of the month. Is console going to come to PS5? As far as I know, they're not planning that, but maybe they are. I don't think that's their call. I think Facepunch has to make that call. What if Facepunch goes, yeah, we do want to make a next-gen console version, and they have to use some of the IP from Double 11, but Double 11 doesn't have the resources clearly to branch or fork the development, right? So because of that, maybe they came up with a deal where they're going to do that, and maybe it gets passed on to another studio. Maybe it gets passed on to Facepunch, right? They did double their size. Now, I didn't really see who they brought on board, because you can usually tell by the talent what they're working on. But that's an interesting thought, right? I don't know. This is more like theory crafting at this point. I'd have to look at more stuff to kind of see what's what. But there is definitely some stuff going on, both at Double 11 and Facepunch. Maybe they're related, maybe they're not. I don't know. But there's definitely some stuff cooking. So we kind of have to wait and see. Either way, February's almost over, and there's nothing on the testing branch that is for our actual content that's going to be here at the end of the month. So what's up? You know what I'm saying? Another failed update? I don't know.